This episode of Road to APEX is sponsored by TYC. Previously on Road to APEX.
Studebaker built electric cars from around 1900 to 1912. Well, what happened to the electric car that it started its demise after the 1912? Oh yeah, I'd trade the Blackwood for this all day.
Manufacturers like Proterra are manufacturing tens of thousands of batteries every year.
This is part of the original unpaved Lincoln Highway from 1913. Pretty cool. We're starting out right now in Clinton, Iowa. In 1924, the Chamber of Commerce took out an ad claiming this as the crossing city, probably because we just crossed the Mississippi. A lot of people ask, does this divide the continent, the east and west, truly? I don't know. It's up to debate. I'll leave that up to you. But with 85% of the Lincoln Highway still drivable today in Iowa, I'm looking forward to seeing what we find today.
Since 1927, AP Emissions has been your source for complete exhaust innovation. We're your one-stop shop for the exhaust brands you know and the quality you trust. Visit apemissions.com.
The entire weight of today's vehicle is supported on a surface smaller than a credit card, inside the wheel hub assembly. With so much riding on it, why would you use something other than OE quality replacement parts? OE quality, premium product. BCA bearings by NTN. For the ones who demand the best, there's a Coates machine to get the job done right. Precision that never quits. Toughness that defines legends. Coates, engineered to perform, designed to last. Visit CoatesCompany.com to learn more. At 1-800-EVERY-RIM OEM Wheels, with a massive inventory, we buy and sell reconditioned, new takeoff, and used OEM replacement wheels, all backed by over 150 years of combined experience. Text pictures to 951-RIM-TEXT or visit us online at 1-800-EVERYRIM.com.
It was still a thoroughfare, so you weren't relying on maybe what some towns, only the railroad. When that changed, that took care of a lot of small towns. So you still had this as a main highway. So a lot of these businesses have been here for years, and the buildings. We took the Lincoln Highway. It was fun because I like small towns. We headed towards Cedar Rapids and just followed the signs and stopped at little towns along the way and ate in little restaurants and met interesting people, different things they do in their towns for entertainment. One town had this mini bowling alley upstairs, and they've had it there for many years, which we thought was kind of an unusual thing. And we just stayed in some mom-pop hotels, little motels, and yeah, it was fun. It was fun to see Iowa. And the Lincoln Highway really goes everywhere. I mean, it north-south, just like this little corner. I mean, it never came actually through Lowden. It went up north, turned around, goes up by the cemetery, and comes out way at the overpass. Used to be an overpass for the railroad. So it's interesting to take the trip. The tavern way down at the end, it's been a continuing operating saloon tavern. And it was just the spot where I think workers went after work a lot. You know, it was just a hangout place. You could tell what people in this town enjoy. It's changed hands many times, but it continues to be there. That hotel has been here. My mother worked there as a young girl as a waitress. So I'm assuming it was trained people also that stayed there, because I don't know who else would have filled the rooms, because there wasn't that much traveling going on in those days. It's changed hands a few times, and it's beautifully refurbished, and it's very, very nice.
Guess where I am right now? I think I gave it away, but I'm in Lowden, Iowa. Kind of a sleepy little town, but back in its day in 1915, when this place first opened, it was a hustling, bustling kind of place where the Lincoln Highway and the railroad system all merged at one. The Lincoln Highway, again, was built right around the same kind of tracking system as the railroad. And they did that on purpose. The railroads knew what they were doing, and the people that built the Lincoln Highway said, hey, if it was good for the trains, it's good for us too. But here in Lowden, this still is being used, restored in 1997. Beautiful place to stay, and the inside is amazing. On the Lincoln Highway right now, we actually are inside the Lincoln Motel that was built in 1915 here in Lowden, Iowa. Lucky enough to have Melissa show us around inside this beautiful, now kind of a B&B hotel.
It's, well, you know, it's more of a like boutique hotel, if you will. We have 4 rooms for rent.
Okay.
And they're all en suite with their own bathrooms.
And this place was built in 1915 in a very important kind of area for Lowden. We've got the trains here. Then we had the Lincoln Highway coming through here. So there was a lot of people, and when they needed somewhere to stay, this was it.
This was it. And so this was a boarding house with all the rooms upstairs. And where we're standing now would have been their parlor. The room behind you would have been more of the dining room. And this was the side of the building in the rear was for the residents. And but everything was, there was 12 rooms upstairs for rent. And in 1997, they did get several large grants to rehabilitate the building.
It looks absolutely beautiful. So now that, you know, obviously the Lincoln Highway still gets travelers through here. There's still the trains coming through here, but not as much.
There's plenty of trains coming through.
Plenty of trains still?
Oh yeah, like we have guests that come here and they will call me and say, can you hear trains from the hotel? And I'm always like, oh boy. And I'm like, yeah. And they're, oh, fantastic, I'm a train enthusiast. And I'm like, so yeah, and honestly, I get train enthusiasts that stay here regularly. They probably come like 3 times a year, sometimes 4 times a year.
And again, when you would walk around in this, it's a smaller, sleepier town, but you're doing quite well then.
Oh yeah, for a small town, we are exceedingly busy, so.
It's a really great place. Thank you for taking the time to show us around. The pictures in here are amazing. And anytime you're in Lowden, make sure you come check out Melissa.
Give me a call, we'll set you up.
And stay here. It's a great place. You know, in like 1912, there were almost no roads at all, except short ones, extending out from railroad stations and market centers to farms and pretty much just disappearing. Railroads were needed for transportation because roads were virtually impassable. But once new paving techniques made road surfaces durable, there was a revolution in transportation. Suddenly, roads were competing with trains for regional transportation. And if you were to compare old maps, you could see the routes of the Lincoln Highway and the Transcontinental Railroad are almost the same, nearly identical. In the early days of motoring, there were few gas stations or places to get needed supplies or parts, especially in these rural areas. But by keeping the Lincoln Highway near the train line meant, as a motorist, you were more likely to run into a train depot city that would have water, fuel, supplies, etc., and keep you on your journey. Speaking of journey, it's time I head down the road to the next stop on the Lincoln Highway.
corner kind of got started in 1923. It was a different restaurant across the street, I believe. When they changed it, they moved it to here and changed it to Nyland's, and that's how it stayed ever since.
I really love that they preserve it. They do a really good job of welcoming people and sharing the excitement for the small town. Nice that people still come visit, even though it's off the main highway. A lot of the roads like this are just off of the main highway or interstate, so it's kind of an easy roads to get to and easy little jaunt to go over and visit.
We've had people from each coast, I mean, both sides. They come coast to coast down the highway to check it out. A lot of people, local people and people just passing through. I didn't think there would be such a huge following, let alone people coming from California to stop here. It's kind of a surreal feeling.
The open road is awesome to just clear your mind and see some different sites. So you get to see a lot of history in Iowa using these different roads.
The people that are involved in it, they take it seriously and they are in it. They know everything. I mean, it's cool to hear their little tidbits of history and just their experiences going down the highway, not just this place, but all the little stops along the way from coast to coast. I try not to let it go to my head, but it's like, man, that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I mean, I never thought that I would be here, I guess. It wasn't a life goal of mine, just a total fluke deal, and I like it. It's working out great.
Well, the main highways, you kind of get a fast version, and you get from point A to point B pretty quick, but the highways, the smaller ones, are more exciting and entertaining. At days like this, when the weather's beautiful, it's nice to kind of see some different areas of the state that aren't going by so fast.
TransStar Industries is a global leader in aftermarket distribution with 45 years of experience offering speedy delivery on transmission, differential, and AC parts through local stocked branches and a national distribution network. TransStar now offers high-quality OE recycled transmissions and transfer cases, a perfect choice for cost-conscious customers. TransStar is continuing to expand product offerings including brakes, electrical, steering, suspension, and more, helping you to provide your customers with fast, reliable service. TransStar parts are available for online ordering through transcend.us or right through your shop management system. Ordering with TransStar has never been easier.
We are MPA, Motor Car Parts of America, a global manufacturer of light and heavy-duty rotating electric, brake parts, wheel hubs and bearings, turbochargers, and electrical component testing. MPA, the global leader for parts and solutions.
Aishin is a trusted and reliable source for high-quality aftermarket automotive components and technology. We redefine mobility through our broad range of technologies and product lines. At Aishin, we are poised to embrace the future, inspiring movement and creating tomorrow.
When the OE part fails, count on the brand with world-class engineering, precision manufacturing, and more than 100 years of experience. When OE fails, trust Standard. What's in your box?
Today's technicians look to the aftermarket for quality parts so they can turn their bays and get their customers back on the road. BCA Bearings by NTN provides OE quality wheel hubs, bearings, and seals to ensure that when customers come back, they come back for the great service.
Thinking back to one of my favorite movies, that classic.
Hey! Is this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
This state really is beautiful, and it's easy to ask that question. Yeah, there's a lot of corn, but they produce more than anybody else in the entire nation. And they celebrate the Lincoln Highway really well, with so many sites you can see and different historical monuments and markers that they have set up along the way. It's a really great drive on the Lincoln Highway. I'm gonna head down just off the Lincoln Highway down south to Des Moines. I've got possibly something going on with the Lincoln that I'm gonna have my friend take a look at. Just when everything seemed to be going so well, Blackwood's in the shop. We'll show you why. So what was wrong with the Blackwood, you ask? You saw Jason checking the tire for me. Actually, nothing was wrong with it. In 2002, I don't have tire pressure monitoring systems. Yeah, I've got new tires, but hey, I'm in the area, I'm at a great shop. Let's get them checked out to make sure everything's all right. Tire pressure monitoring systems didn't become standard until 2008 on all vehicles built in the United States. That allowed you to know if your tires were starting to lose air pressure, which could eventually lead to a blowout because the sidewall will start to heat up as you lose that tire pressure. Didn't have any problems. But again, this is what the aftermarket can do for you. Are you on a road trip and you just want to have your tires checked? Stop in. Think your oil might be a little low and you don't know how to check it? They do. Stop in. They're here to help. Whatever route you're taking, whether it's 66 Lincoln Highway or maybe even the Pikes Peak Ocean to Ocean Trail, they're there to help. Anytime, anywhere. So this being a smaller shop, what is it, the Right to Repair Act, how does that affect you, and where do you think, what needs to change in the industry right now with some of this manufacturers not wanting to share information that somebody like you as a technician needs to properly diagnose and service vehicles?
Yeah, I'm all for the right to repair. We need access to the information as an aftermarket, as all the aftermarket shops.
Yeah.
All the information, the parts needed, the software, scan tooling, all of that we need to have, and it's just not fair that the manufacturers withhold that.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to
you're welcome.
Thank you. Let us pop in and get the tires checked out and make sure everything was good, and it just goes to show, could stop in anytime and people take care of you.
Not a problem at all. So happy
I
to
appreciate
do
it, Jason. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Larry, thanks for taking the time to meet with us. First off, it's an amazing shop.
Thank you.
It's beautiful, it's clean, it's inviting, and it's very cool retro feel to it. What inspired you with this?
Well, back in the 70s, I worked at a standard gas station, and I always thought that was a pretty fun time. I worked there for 4 years through the 70s, and we did everything on cars, not just pumping gas, but we did everything from oil changes to engine overhauls.
Yeah.
And I just always thought, it'd be cool to build a shop that looked like the old gas station, and it was a funner, simpler time.
Your ratings and your customer reviews say a lot about how you do business. You're talking, you've got a 4.8 rating with over 700 reviews. That's a lot, and that says a lot. What's your philosophy on how you keep that many people so happy?
Well, I would rather lose money than have somebody go away unhappy. One of the big reasons our ratings are high is we really, really try to explain everything to the customer, and we try to get as much information as we can from them so there's no communication loss. If they come in with a noise in their car, we really prefer to ride with them because their car might have 3 noises, and we'll fix the wrong one. And then they come back and the noise is still there. It's like, well, that's not the noise we heard. So anyway, so we always try to, really get to the bottom of whatever, before we start on the car.
Obviously I'm on my way to the AAPEX show in Las Vegas, and that's a big show where we're really highlighting a lot of these automotive aftermarket companies. You're obviously in the aftermarket business. How does being able to choose the parts that you want to use or need to use, how does that affect you and the customers? How does that all work together for you?
Well, a lot of times the aftermarket has better warranties on their parts, and parts availability is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And we know what parts work and we know what parts don't work, and certain brands we stay away from on certain, like if it's electrical, we'll stay away from certain brands if it's,
Sure.
So it's good to have other options.
Last thing I want to ask you, you said you were short-staffed today.
Yeah.
You had said, your son's doing really good at diagnostics. It's tough to find technicians today. We're having a little bit of a shortage. What would your advice be to anybody that's watching right now that's going, man, I think I might want to work in cars? What would you advise? What would you tell them?
I would say do it. Yeah. Don't go to college and get a 4-year degree. That's a waste. A waste of money. We need technicians, and I know technicians can make a lot more money without all that college debt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say go to a trade school.
Excellent. Yeah.
And you can make a really, really good living, and it's rewarding working with your hands.
It is.
It's, some of these jobs are really trial, especially drivability things that Jason gets into. I mean, he'll about be pulling his hair out. I don't have any to pull out anymore.
I wasn't gonna say,
But when he finally finds the problem, because he always does, it's really rewarding. It's like, man, like solving a really hard crime.
Absolutely.
It's pretty rewarding when you finally especially when nobody else can do it.
So does the bell drive you crazy? Because I love it. I love that bell. I just pulled up. I couldn't believe. I was like, I know that sound. It's that old.
No, I remember being a kid and jumping on those and making the people stop jumping on that bell. Well, they're handy too. It's really
actually it is. I mean,
very handy.
Yeah, you can actually know when a customer's approaching. If you're really busy or something.
I put it out there more for the sound, just for the retro sound, but it's very handy.
Nice. I appreciate. I love it. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Larry, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Good talking to you too.
Thank you. And then the AAPEX show and the Aftermarket really appreciates what you're doing here. And I gotta say, if you're in the area, if you don't even have a serious problem, come check it out. It's like a museum, and it's clean and it's nice, and you're not gonna slip on the floor. And I'm not even gonna lie. Take a look in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Just cruising a little bit right now, and I just passed up a Tesla. Couldn't help but wonder if and when the technicians in the industry are going to be able to actually get a way to work on those cars. Tesla's been pretty tight-lipped about that. I know a lot of my friends that are in the field that have some problems trying to get any type of work done to those cars, which leads to that Right to Repair Act kicked around in Congress right now. I mean, a lot of tech, including when we were just out seeing our friends over at Ace there, we're having the same problem, saying it's just as important for them to be able to work on these cars. It's also important for customers to have a choice, but if you don't have a choice, I guess it's not too fair, is it? So I know my friend David Sickles has got a little bit more information on it, and a special guest he's talking to about how they feel as well. David, tell us what you got.
If you've been to an AAPEX show in the past 10 years, there's a fat chance you walked away without discussing the right to repair movement with somebody. And that's for good reason. The fact is that the ability for independent American shops to repair vehicles in the future is at risk, with key vehicle diagnostics being locked away from the eyes of independent shop owners. The right to repair movement, a largely grassroots endeavor, exists in an effort to make that data available, no questions asked. For many shop owners, if you ask them the one thing that will most profoundly affect their businesses over the next 5 to 10 years, well, they're going to tell you that this is it. So to learn more about what makes this such a big deal, I traveled all the way up to Augusta, Maine, to the State House, to speak with someone who happens to know an awful lot about this issue, Tim Winkler, the CEO of VIP Tires and Service. So Tim, we are here in Augusta at the Maine State House for something that's very near and dear to your heart, right to repair. Tell me, if I am a shop owner, I just opened my shop yesterday, and I know nothing about right to repair, why do I need to know about this issue?
Yeah, so if you're a shop owner, the first thing you need to know is educate yourself and get involved. This is the future of your business, is what I would say.
And what do you mean by that?
What do I mean by that? So what I mean by that is that the ability for us independent repair shop owners and tire shop operators to repair vehicles in the future is at risk, because there are areas where the vehicle diagnostics are being locked out from independents like us. And so let's start talking about, vehicles 10, 15, 20 years down the road. We have to be able to maintain and preserve that right to repair those vehicles and diagnose those vehicles. And that's at risk. And so if you're going to open up a shop today, if you want that shop to be running 20 years from now, we need to act today to preserve your ability to run that business 20 years from now.
Interesting. So we're in Maine now. It has a big, giant spotlight on it as far as the right to repair movement is concerned. Can you explain why that is, Maine specifically?
Sure. Well, we're the second state to get a state-level ballot question on the ballot for citizens to vote on. Massachusetts got it on the ballot in 2020, and it passed with about 75% support, voter support. So we decided that we needed to get another state. As an industry, we needed to start going state by state to really get this automotive right to repair question in front of voters. And so Maine was selected because we believe we have the support up here. I personally wanted to be involved in helping this get on the ballot in Maine. And so I think the spotlight's on Maine because we were sort of the next state to step up. There were many other shop owners, along with myself, who signed on to support the initiative and who are part of the Maine Right to Repair Coalition. And so the spotlight's here because we know that the voters and the vehicle owners in Maine want to preserve their right to repair and want to have access to the data that their vehicles are producing. And so that's why we're working so hard on this.
So you've been involved for a little while now with Right to Repair in Maine. How did you get started? And tell us, what does involvement mean when it comes to Right to Repair?
Sure. Yeah, I got started because as a member of the board of directors for the New England Tire and Service Association, NHTSA, that was the organization that our industry was working through in order to start getting these state level questions on the ballots. And so through NHTSA, I was contacted and I talked with people from the Auto Care Association, from NHTSA, and from a few other organizations. The Car Coalition was another one. So we were all of the same mind that Maine needed to be the next state, that we needed to get this ballot in front of the voters in. And so at that point, when I knew it was going to be Maine, and VIP is obviously the largest operator in Maine, it made sense for me to become a leader of the coalition.
The next step in Maine is for Right to Repair to be on the ballot in the upcoming November elections. Tim and his colleagues have already engaged in some awareness campaigns, and as November gets closer, a lot more activity is planned to educate those voters. But what's Tim's advice to those who want to support the issue, whether they're part of the voting populace of Maine or not?
Yeah, I mean, the other way to support it is, first of all, I would say educate yourself on it, right? There's all kinds of resources, whether it's through automotive, the Auto Care Association, or even through other industries. It doesn't take long to find a lot of information about Right to Repair online, so people should educate themselves about it. And secondly, never underestimate the power of sending a letter or an email to a senator, to a representative, and letting them know that you support it and you would like to see your representative support it, because our people who represent us largely listen to their constituents and they pay attention to the letters and the emails, and when they hear enough voices, it causes them to take a deeper look and maybe to pursue something. So never underestimate the power we can have by just reaching out to our representatives and telling them how we feel about this issue. And if we want to, once again, preserve that right for someone to buy a car today, a 2023 model year car, and be able to repair it in 2043 when it's 20 years old, they need to preserve that right. But that right might require them to have access to telematics data.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Very informative.
Yeah, thank you.
Aftermarket Armor introduces a bed liner that has a 4-hour pot life, which is twice as long as the competition, giving you the needed time to complete the job. A proprietary formulated product giving you the best UV resistance, protecting your vehicle from sun fade for years to come. Find out more at aftermarketarmor.com.
TYC develops and manufactures the latest state-of-the-art automotive products of the utmost quality. With the latest in engineering and state-of-the-art robotic manufacturing, TYC products are guaranteed to be of the best quality with exceptional performance. Visit tycamericas.com to find out more.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers? Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Really? Really. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
United Motor Products has been manufacturing and delivering OEM replacement engine management products for 35 years, trusted by installers for over 3 decades. You can be sure United Motor Products produces and delivers the quality products you can trust. Visit UnitedMotorProducts.com.
Hardworking hands need a hardworking shop towel. Tough on everything from heavy metals and grease to tar and adhesives, Gojo scrubbing towels can be used anywhere heavy-duty hand and surface cleaning is required without water, even on the road to AAPEX.
Next time on Road to AAPEX.
We're outside Kearney Classic Car Collection Museum. This is a 1919 Chevrolet. This is what would have been typical in the early days of the Lincoln Highway. A lot of you may wonder, why did I just select 91? What is the difference? This is the original path as well, the Lincoln Highway, coming through Elkhorn, Nebraska right now. I'm just excited to be able to drive it.
President Lincoln decided that we were going to try to have a transcontinental railroad. Trains could stop if they had in smaller towns, but they don't do it like we do today.